Hi, hello. So in today's video, I will be talking about 10 books that I cannot put down. These are the books that I either read in one sitting or within a day or within a couple of days if they are really long, but I don't know what about them. I just couldn't put them down. I am trying to not include books that I already talked about in my best books of 2020, but I had to include two of them because I think people would really enjoy it. And of course, one of them is the book that I cannot shut up about. And if you know me, you already know what that book is going to be. So, yeah, let's get into it, shall we? Let's go. And the first book is The Savior Champion by Jenna. If you know me, you know that I have to. I just have to, okay? There's not enough people who read this book. It's so underrated, at least in the book community, in the self-published books people already know about this, but in the worldwide book community, no, there's not enough people talk about this book. And it is so good. What is wrong with you? This book, to sum up what it's about, it is basically an adult version of the Hunger Games. And if you like the Hunger Games, either books or the movies, you will like this book. You will. You will. But again, this book is not for everyone, so I recommend checking content warnings before reading it. So, and the content warnings is graphic violence, adult language, and mentions of sex. There's one scene that someone gives someone a blowjob. Just a warning before you get into it. This book is about 20 men fighting to death to win the hand of the savior, the queen of the land, but Tobias, the main character, is not one of them. He and one of them. He's there because he needs some money, and every single competitor who entered this tournament will get some kind of money for their death because they are definitely gonna die. There is only one person who can survive this. I love the pacing in this book. I also really love the games. They're so creative. They're so fun to read. I know I don't really say it a lot usually when I talk about this book. I just said I love dick jokes in this book. Read it. But what I don't really talk enough about is the games itself in this book. They're so fun. When I read it, I just felt like I was in the book, watching them compete. I just got lost into the story, and I love it when a book does that. When you just forget that you are reading, you know? And this book does it for me. I couldn't put it down. I just love it. One of my favorite games in the book is, I'm not gonna spoil it, but I would say it's one of the scenes when competitors think they are celebrating, but no, they're not. They're not. They got tricked. And now they have to find a way to not die.
Hi, it's Editing May, and I am just here to add something that I just remembered, and I think it's really interesting, and is that each game in this book is representing qualities that they are looking for in a husband for the savior. For example, the game that I talked about is the quality of listening. Are they good listeners? Are they paying attention? Because if they're not, they're gonna die. So, yeah, I just want to add to it.
The romance is also really cute. I love the romance. And one of the scenes that I really like is when Tobias lost a game on purpose in order to spend his time with his love interest, Layla. And this man also almost lost all of his fingers in the process. The dedication, man, the dedication. He loves. He loves that girl. Yeah, read it. Read it. I need someone to talk about this book with, okay? Highly recommend. And the second book is actually my recent read, and it surprised me because I did not expect to like it. And it is Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerri Maniscalco. This book is about a witch who is trying to hunt down a serial killer who killed her twin sister with a help from one of the princes of hell, and that prince is Wrath. And let me tell you, if you go into this book for the murder mystery, you are going to be disappointed. But if you are in for the romance, you are in for a ride, okay? You are in for the ride. I ate the romance up. It is so good. It is so fun. It's so spicy. It's so cute. It's so like sassy. This is an enemy to lovers romance, and it is one of my favorites. It's Bro, I did not expect to enjoy this book this much. I couldn't put it down, and I wish I filmed my reaction while I was reading this book because I was like, oh my god, oh that's so cute. Just that kind of shit that I did, just normal thing you do when you're reading. Is it the best book I've ever read? No, but do I care? Also no. Okay, I am here for the romance. I am here for Rap. He is so sassy. He is just so fun. He's just a great love interest. It is so fun because his character arc is so interesting. I don't know how to explain it. He's like a bad boy,
I hate that word.
but with forgivable flaws where he make mistakes, but it's not the mistakes where you just couldn't forgive him. He also really sassy, but also really cute. One of my favorite scenes is so ordinary, but due to his personality, it makes the book so much like it was a scene when he was poking Amelia, the main character, while she was trying to sleep. He was just teasing her, and she just kind of slapped him away and was like, leave me alone, something like that. It was just a simple scene, but I love that scene. If you enjoy fantasy romance or paranormal romance, I highly recommend this book. If you're wondering why the lighting is so different, it's because I filmed this on a different day. I actually filmed the other two books last week, and shit happened, and I have to stop recording. So here I am. We're just gonna keep going like nothing happens and move on to the next book. The next one is actually not a book, it's a series. Most of people probably already know about this series, but if you are new to the book community, well, let me tell you about it. And it is the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. This series is one of my all-time favorite series. I love it so much. When I was reading it, if I wasn't sleeping, if I wasn't eating, if I wasn't working, I would be reading one of the books in the series. I fucking love it. This series is a retelling of Cinderella, the Red Riding Hood, Rapunzel, and Snow White. But it's not a normal retelling, it's a retelling, but make it sci-fi, which is just an interesting take on retelling. It's really hard for me to tell you what the series is about because there is so much happening. But the series starts with Cinder. She is a cyborg who got adopted by a doctor, I think. And now the doctor died. All the Cinderella stuff. And now she is living with her stepmom and her stepsisters. But there's something happened in the book, of course. Then she meet a prince named Kai. But in this world, there's also another population that lives on the moon called Luna. And Luna has a queen, Olivana, that's her name. And she is trying to take over the earth, and she's trying to force Kai, which is the love interest of Cinder, to marry her. And it's just a lot of shit going on, and it's so hard to tell you what is it about unless you read it. I have to admit, Cinder is really not the best book of the series. It's really hard to get into. I actually almost DNF'd it, but I'm so glad I didn't, because after the second book, I just flew through it. If you haven't read the series, you're just missing out because it's a fun adventure packed book. Everything is happening, and the romance is so good, especially in Scarlet. Scarlet and Wolf are relationship goals, okay? They are the best couple in YA. Maybe that's not true, but I love them. The next book is Two Can Keep a Secret by Karen M. McManus. I would say this is my most favorite YA thriller. I usually don't reread books, but with this one, I read it 4 times. Yeah, because I was just so amazed by how Karen and McManus can put clues throughout the book, and I didn't see it. All the clues in this book were right in front of me, but I didn't see it. And then when we got to the reveal to find out who is the killer, I was like, I should have known this. It was right in front of me the whole time. The story started when Hilary and her twin brother moved into a small town called Echo Ridge. And this town is where their mom grew up. It's also the town where their aunt went missing. And 5 years before they moved to the town, a girl was murdered. And a few weeks or a few days after they got there, the killer struck again and declared that, hey, I am here and still living and ready to kill. And to prove their point, a girl went missing again. And Hilary, she is a true crime junkie. So when that happened, she was like, I gotta solve this. I have to know what happened. Bring it. And it's not only that, it's also because of the girl that went missing is her friend. So she has to fight her. And her love interest is the brother of the boyfriend. So I didn't tell you this, but the girl that got murdered 5 years before this, people think, no one got arrested for that. But everyone thinks that her boyfriend murdered her. And Hilary's love interest is the brother of the dead girl boyfriend. Does that make sense? So when this strike again, everyone kind of suspect him because that guy is his brother. But the missing girl is also not the only mystery in this book. There's also another mystery subplot that we get to find out because Ari, she never knows who her dad is. So there's also something about that. If you are new to thriller and you want something fun but not too gruesome or intense to read, I recommend this book because it's more of a mystery than a thriller, I have to admit, but it still gives me the thrill. Yeah, I recommend it. I'm not feeling my best today, and I feel like everything I say is just garbage. The next book is also another YA thriller, and it is The Inheritance Game by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This one is a ride. It is one of the best books that I read in 2020. I had so much fun reading it. So the story starts when a billionaire named Tobias Hawthorne decided to give almost all of his fortune to a random high school girl named Avery Grant. And Avery has no freaking idea who he is and why he gave her all the money, but he did. And of course, his family is pissed. Who is this girl? That is how the story started. The game in this book is so much fun to read. They are so creative, and you as a reader also get to play the game too. It's another book that I would say not really a thriller, more of a mystery. And if you like Knives Out, I highly recommend it. It's really, I would say it's a YA version of Knives Out. If you like Knives Out, you have to read this book. The next book that I like to recommend is The Alice Network by Quinn. So it is a historical fiction about a secret female spy network called The Alice Network. This story is actually inspired by a true story of Louis de Bettini's. She is also known as the Queen of Spies. There are 2 timelines in this book. One taking... I have to look at my notes. So, there are 2 timelines in this book. The first one is from 1947, and it is in the perspective of Charlie. She is an unmarried pregnant girl who ran away from her wealthy parents when they sent her off to get an abortion, and she ran into this grumpy lady called Eve. And Eve is another main character, and her perspective is taking place between 1915 to 1919. I can't really tell you why I like this book or why I enjoy it, except that I enjoy it. And I feel like it's so hard sometimes when you like a book but you just don't know how to explain it. I don't really read historical fictions, but I find this book really fun. It's like an adventurous kind of historical fiction. It is not a boring historical fiction, and Eve is definitely my favorite character. She is so badass, and I love her character development in this book. You can tell how different she is from, the early 1915 to like the grandma, the grumpy grandma that she is now in 1947, because she just went through so much and she has so much anger in her, and I don't blame her. There's also a really cute romance in this book between Charlie and Eve's assistant. I don't know if this is weird, but I just like that the main character is pregnant, or one of them is pregnant, because we don't get to see that a lot in books. I would say, since I am not a big fan of historical fiction, I would say that if you are not a fan of historical fiction, but you kind of want to play with it and just see if you like it, or just want to give it a try, maybe pick this one up, because even I, who are not a fan of historical fiction, likes it, so you're probably going to like it too. And the next book is My Sister, the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. This book is about a girl who cannot stop killing her boyfriends and her sister, who would go in great lengths to protect her. I wouldn't say this book is a straight up thriller. I think it's more a humor slash thriller. It is a really quick read. I think it's less than 300 pages. I only gave it a 3-star, but I actually had a fun time reading it. I don't even remember why I only gave it a 3-star. Because I remember I really enjoyed it. Like, why did I give it a 3-star? Okay, it's true. It is only 225 pages long. So, if you are looking for a quick thriller slash humor read, I recommend this book. This book is one of those books that when I read it, it felt more like watching a movie rather than reading a book. And I think that just shows how much fun it is, because you just kind of get lost into the story. If you enjoy reading about an innocent looking girl go on a killing spree, pick this book up. Next one is The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. This one is a contemporary novel with magical realism. I just like how the other takes a different approach. I just like how the other takes a different approach in a hero story, because instead of having a superhero as a main character in the series, we basically just get an average Joe as the main character, while his superhero classmates go on an adventure and fight the bad guy. He is just trying to live his life and survive the last week of high school, basically. And to be honest, same. I'm just trying to survive this week, because holy fuck. Just to paint the picture, the main character of this book is the guy that walked past Peter Parker during lunch. I thought it was a really fun concept and a fun take on a superhero story. And yeah, if you like a contemporary with magical realism, give this book a try. I know that some people don't like it because they find it really boring, but I like it. I think it's really fun. It was a quick read for me, and I actually read it in one sitting, so give it a try. Maybe, maybe not. Whatever, you do you, okay? I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but if you wanna pick it up, pick it up. Next book is I Found You by Lisa Jewell. This one is an adult mystery, and it is actually the first Lisa Jewell I read, and I'm glad I did, because she's now one of my favorite authors. It's really hard to explain what this book is about. The premise of this story is about two women, 20 years of secrets, and a man who cannot remember. I was hooked by the first chapter when one of the main characters, Alice, found a man, a random dude, on a beach in front of her house. And when she tried to help him, like, why are you here in front of my house? Who are you? And he was like, what? Who are you? And who am I? And there is Lily. She just moved to a new country, and suddenly her husband went missing. And when she went to the police to, where the hell is my husband? And the police tell her that, actually, your husband does not exist. lit. I just like the way Lisa Ju wrote this book because the way the story started to transition from, Lily's story and Alice's story come together, it just so smooth. It come together so smoothly. And there is also a flashback. And it just I love the plot twist. I love the romance. First of all, I read this book in 2018, but I still remember the scene where Alice was, started to get really close to this guy. And she started to worry that, oh, what if he started to remember, and after he remember who he is, he wouldn't want to have anything to do with her anymore, and things now start to get really complicated. And I just love that. But I just love the plot twist. I just love it. I love it. If you are new to adult thrillers and want something light to read, I recommend this book. And the last book, another thriller. Another one. This one is I Let You Go by Clare Mackintosh. Again, this book is also one of the books that I have a hard time explaining what it is because I don't want to spoil the book. This book is about a mother who just lost her kid after a car accident, and now she is just trying to figure out what to do with her life, after all of this. But is it really a car accident though? Is it? You would have to read the book to find out. The plot twist of this book though is definitely one of those plot twists that I absolutely didn't see it coming. When I got to that, I was like, what? 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 But I would say it's not. It's also more on the heavy side of a mystery. It's also another book that I would recommend if you are new to thriller because it's not really heavy or really gruesome. It is more heavy on the mystery side. There are some trigger warnings that you have to be aware of. I would put the trigger warnings for all the books in the description, so check it out. But it is a really light thriller and it is so fun to read. It's slow at time, but the plot twist is so worth it. So worth it. Even though I said 10 books, I just finished another book and I would like to also mention it. It is, you guess it, a thriller. Why a thriller? And again, more heavy on the mystery side. You can see the pattern of my favorite books. And it is Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. I actually just finished reading this book a few days ago, and I'm glad that I kind of paused this video and just film it just now because otherwise this book wouldn't be in this video. This book is about a girl named Claudia who is trying to find out what happened to her best friend Monday. So her friend Monday suddenly just disappeared, and it just seemed like she's the only person who noticed that, or the only person who gave a shit about it because no one around her noticed that she's gone. This book talks a lot about hard-hitting topics, and I definitely recommend you checking the trigger warnings out before getting into it because it is pretty intense. It's one of those books that makes me think. It just makes me question everything about life. I know life is not fair, but when I read this, I'm just like, why? How can someone do this to kids? How can someone let this happen? It's the book that I think everyone should read it. If you can handle the hard topics in this book, read it. Yeah, this one. Leave a rock on emoji. I don't know what it's called. Leave it down below because I feel like this week I'm just trying to get through it. So leave this emoji down below. And also recommend me some books. Recommend me some thrillers, mysteries, or even fantasy romance. I love all of that. Let me know down below so I can add them into my TBR. If you like this video, you can like it, subscribe, or don't. You do you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!